Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And thanks everyone for stopping by, especially Jordan Peterson fans here to dislike the video. Maybe you'll be kind enough to stick around and listen to what we have to say.
Jordan Peterson likes to listen to people. You know, the guy whose dick is in your mouth right now?
Anyway, today we're going to be responding to some of the comments we got in our last video, which was all about Jordan Peterson and his opposition to Canadian Bill C-16, which added transgender people to the Protected Classes Bill.
Now, for normal fans of the show, I promise the next upload on Wednesday is not going to be about Jordan Peterson, but maybe the Friday one. Michael Hart! Yes, Bill C-16 may be a compelled speech law. On its own, it is not, but accompanying it, the document seems to class misgendering as a form of harassment. This guy needs punctuation. He needs some comments.
This guy, by the way, this link will be in the description. Jake, do not forget to put it in the description.
Pretty easy.
If he does yell at him. If you read this entire article, which I have, by the way, it's the Ontario Human Rights Commission, and they did a survey of trans people to see what they considered harassment.
Yeah.
This is not the Ontario Human Rights Committee saying, this is what we exactly define harassment as. This is literally a document trying to outline the day-to-day struggles of trans and non-binary people and what they have to go through, and it's just their opinions, and so you as a public can be more informed and maybe make more informed decisions about whether or not you want to use people's preferred pronouns. And this guy decided that these people sharing their experiences of being intentionally misgendered and it being a profoundly negative experience for them, and decided, "My freedoms!" because Jordan Peterson said it was. Again, that's not what the bill was about, and even with this, if this is what Jordan Peterson is using, he's also even dumber than I thought. Because again, this was a survey asking trans people how they felt, not a declaration of law.
And there's a small delineation that some people pointed out that is true, but they didn't use it correctly. C-16 is the federal bill. They claim, when we point out that C-16 is not in fact a big problem, even though that's what sparked this anyways, they claim that the Ontario Human Rights Commission, which would Jordan Peterson and his college would be under the purview of, is the problem. But that thing had been a thing for 5 years at the time that C-16 was a thing. They had already had trans people and non-binary and the pronoun usage. They had already had that list in the Ontario Human Rights Commission set out. It doesn't really make any sense to me that you use that argument, I guess. Like, it just doesn't compute at all. It doesn't follow logically. Then why is he bitching about C-16 specifically?
It's because he knows he can't. Again, I know people are going to say you're reaching. I'm really not. If you look at what the guy's doing, it's because he knows he can't outright say, I'm not a fan of trans people becoming more and more okay in society and society accepting them for what they are.
I don't know if he's a transphobe.
I
don't want to stretch. But at the same time, he intentionally dances around this shit. Like when you ask him if he's a Christian.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we'll have a question later. We'll talk about that. But a lot of people in the comments also mentioned that Jordan Peterson said if he was asked to use a pronoun, he would say yes. No. He said he would use he or she. He refuses to use grammatically incorrect they as a singular, but they has been used as a singular since the 1300s, grammatically speaking. It's not new. It's been used a lot of times.
And again,
we use it in common parlance all the time.
I would argue again.
Oh, my professor gave me homework. Oh, did they give too much homework? Look at this. He's beautiful. Hugo, give me a one. Give me one. Mr. Mega Pussy Player. The whole choose pronounce instead of pronouns thing is BS, beyond good and evil. There are exactly 2 genders and 2 pronounce for it. If they reject it, they are an it. Robbie. Robbie. I get it now. use fancy trannies as a kink, so you're virtue signaling to them that you approve. Well, not all of us agree exactly. Okay, I'll just come out and say it. I think Blair Wright is super wrong about a lot of shit. She's trans. Now what? I don't know.
Also,
What happens now?
Is the only reason you can think to have empathy for other people and understanding of their struggles in day-to-day life because you want to fuck them? Because if that's the case, you're a terrible person. And no, that's not virtue signaling. Can I talk about virtue signaling?
Let's talk about virtue signaling because I think it's important. This is, by the way, we didn't get accused of this very much.
I did.
Maybe you did. I didn't. I just got yelled at by people that didn't know what they were talking about. But let's talk about virtue signaling.
Virtue signaling, in my opinion, is the presuppositionalism of the political right. Essentially, when you say to someone, you're virtue signaling, instead of addressing the actual thing that they're addressing, for instance, me talking about trans rights, talking about trying to use pronouns people would prefer, the proper pronouns, you would say, instead of addressing that argument, you're just saying, you don't actually believe that, you're just virtue signaling. You're doing the same thing Ray Comfort does when he says, you're not an atheist, atheists don't exist.
You mean the same thing that Jordan Peterson does?
Yes!
There's no atheists, there's atheists that think they're godless.
So, my point being, everything I say here, please feel free to take at face value, because you should, because I'm being honest with you about it.
Like, virtue signaling implies, and I think, this definitely happens on Facebook
Oh,
and stuff.
absolutely.
Like,
I know it exists.
Like,
I'm just saying...
YouTube channels that, like, they go and they're like, oh, I'm gonna give money to, homeless people. That's virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that money actually helps.
But they're doing it to get views.
But it's like, oh, look at how good I am. Like, one time, I was talking about the, what's the fallacy with Hitler, the Godwin's Law.
Yeah.
I was talking about that, and I said, yeah, everyone can agree that Hitler's bad. And then someone's like, we just virtue signaling, and it wasn't a joke. Like, they kept coming at me. I was like, no, I think objectively, for most people, Hitler and the Holocaust in general, not great. Not a great thing for humanity as a whole. Assuming, of course, people's well-being and is tied directly to them being alive.
Yeah.
But well.
So for the kind of person who just screams virtue signaling at people, you're probably very reactionary, and think to yourself, is this because I just don't have something to say to it? Because generally that seems to be the case.
Sure.
I'm not saying it's always the case. I get it. I understand what virtue signaling is. There are people who are just doing things to show
Absolutely.
face.
On the right and the left, so don't get me wrong, like it's definitely a thing. We're not doing that.
No.
We
know for a fact when we made these videos we were going to lose subscribers doing this. Fuck you people who like Jordan Peterson and think he's like hot shit.
Right. But I hope you stick around because I want you to hear us out. If you like, honestly, you can like Jordan Peterson and us at the same time.
Yeah.
You just calm down. Sparking Pony! But we're not going to talk about feminists, right, guys? We're not going to talk about SJWs. That's just not something we talk about on Hugo and Jake. Kind of, but like we had a whole episode where we talked about Steve Shives and kind of like how we don't agree with him or that brand. What we didn't do is jump on the I'm going to be an anti-feminist bandwagon. Do you know why? There's two reasons. Number one, market saturation. Not a smart business move at some point. Especially when you come in late to the game because you don't give a fuck. Number two, we don't give a fuck. We would care more about this if, and the reason we did this video on Jordan Peterson is to tie into the book to give you an overview, which will very clearly tie into our usual forte, and that is of the religious right. And that's why we're doing Jordan Peterson and not Anita Sarkeesian or the Macintosh guy or name me another one. You got him. You got him right there. You're hate fapping to their pictures right now. Steve Shives. Oh God, I miss liking you, Steve. I miss it. I love you. If you're watching this, you're not watching this. I love you still. Nothing you could do could drive me away from you, boo-boo.
I've been watching a series on Star Trek recently.
See, I like that kind of shit from him.
Yeah.
I just hate the other shit.
I don't like the blocking and whatnot, but whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, well, they also do, and validly speaking, there is a speech issue with some of the far left individuals, which we mentioned in the fucking video you're bitching about, by the way. I just don't think you got deep enough into it.
I know. We'll talk about that later too. But.
Yeah. So it's just not a topic we like to bring up because Jordan Peterson directly ties into our usual thing. And I promise you that will be very evident. So you should watch the series.
But PewDiePie read the whole book and didn't know he was Christian. Because PewDiePie's retarded, I guess.
Crystal Pepsi, that's probably illegal. Crystal Pepsi, I'm not calling someone by some made-up unscientific jargon. I'm going to continue using male and female pronouns as these reflect reality the best. If someone expects me to use anything other than him or her, I'm going to avoid them.
And you are free to do so.
That's fine.
That's fine. The point is, if you continue to walk around and follow that person, and they like to be called he, and you call them she, or vice versa, that is harassment.
Or if you're
Nothing says you're being forced to call anyone anything. If you don't want to deal with these people, don't. You're still an asshole, but
right. Yeah, you can
that's
be
fine.
that. That's fine. That's totally fine.
There are 80-year-old racists today that are just living their life. That's fine. You'll be that in the future.
Right.
That's not a problem for me. You can have whatever views you want.
You're totally free to do that. And people were mad that we're like, you're an asshole. I mean, you're an asshole to us. Yeah. Maybe not to you. That's fine. Maybe you're not an asshole to you and your friends group. We're the assholes. I'm fine with this distinction.
Sure.
But I'm not going to come around to your house and be like, you're an asshole, you're an asshole, you're an asshole, you're an asshole. Hey, you're an asshole. Like every time. Or instead of calling you by your name, which is legally Crystal Pepsi, I just call you asshole instead. And let's take it one step further. I'm your boss at work because, let's be fair, I would be your boss. And you would be my cubicle underling. I would call you asshole instead of Crystal Pepsi. That's not right. That is targeted harassment. Maybe one step further. Maybe you're a government employee, like a peon, like a janitor, and I'm a important someone, and I call you asshole. Clean the bathroom. It's targeted harassment when I do it over and over again. When you correct me, you're like, hey, it's Crystal Pepsi. It makes me feel bad when you call me asshole. And I'd be like, shut up, asshole. Clean that shit. I took a dump in the middle of the floor. Now you clean it. You get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying, Crystal Pepsi?
I think he's got it.
I don't think he's got it. No, he doesn't got it. Daniel Robinson, did you guys fully read the bill? Not using their pronouns can be considered harassment and put you in jail. That's compelled speech. Do we have to do this? Looks like we have to do this.
Let's read the whole bill!
Let's read the whole bill. Here's some music, a little musical background. That's in post. We're not actually hearing it now, so it's worse for us than it is for you.
The link to this will also be in the description if you want to yourself.
It's very short.
And here's a timestamp on the screen if you just trust us and want to skip it. But we're going to read the whole thing. Bill C-16, an act to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code. Her Majesty, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate and the House of Commons of Canada, enacts as follows. 1. Section 2 of the Canadian Human Rights Act is replaced by the following. Purpose. The purpose of this act is to extend the laws in Canada to give effect, with the purview of matters coming with the legislative authority of Parliament, to the principle that all individuals should have an opportunity equal with other individuals to make for themselves the lives that they are able to and wish to have and have their needs accommodated, consistent with their duties and obligations as members of society, without being hindered in or prevented from doing so by discriminatory practices based on race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, marital status, family status, disability, or conviction for an offense for which a pardon has been granted, or in respect of which a record of suspension has been ordered. 2. Subsection 3.1 of the Act is replaced by the following. 1. For all purposes of this Act, the prohibited grounds of discrimination are race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, marital status, family status, disability, and conviction for an offense which a pardon has been granted, or in respect with which a record of suspension has been ordered. Criminal Code. 3. Subsection 318.4 of the Criminal Code is replaced by the following. Definition of identifiable group. In this section, identifiable group means any section of the public distinguished by color, race, religion, national or ethnic origin, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, or mental or physical disabilities. For subparagraph 718.2a, of the Act is replaced by the following. I. Evidence that the offense was motivated by bias, prejudice, or hate based on race, national or ethnic origin, language, color, religion, sex, age, mental or physical disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression, or on any other similar factor. That's the whole bill. All it does is add gender and gender identity to the already existing bill that protects you as a protected class.
Which, by the way, includes male. Not just trans male, it includes us! We can't be not given rights because we're men! So it helps protect you against the feminazis! You know, the ones that are coming for us!
All this is doing is extending to people who are transgender,
Yes.
binary gender, whatever. It's extending to them the same rights as a protected class that people do under religion, race, gender, and whatnot already.
Yeah.
Period. We just read the whole goddamn bill.
That's it. And now we're not going to write, there's the Ontario Human Rights Commission,
But
which
we
is a
already
whole
linked-
different thing. That's commission.
And it's not related to the federal bill in
right,
regard
because
to the rest of the
federal
country.
bill was the thing that Jordan Peterson was upset about and that you just said we didn't get right. So, I don't know how to do this any other way but to read that fucking bill to you and tell you you're wrong. That you're just wrong. And that's okay. Like, it's fine. I know it's uncomfortable. It's okay, boo-boo. We'll get through this.
That's good. Boo Boo. They like nicknames like Bucko. That'll get them.
Bucko, boo-boo, and if they don't like nicknames, if they think that that's maybe if me calling them boo-boo is like, cringy, maybe it's like calling somebody not the thing they want to be called. You fucking idiot. Nathan Smith. I'm going to call you Nathaniel, though, because you feel really, I love you. I love you. This is a good comment. This video feels like a refreshing return to form to me. Not that this is the kind of thing y'all have ever done regularly, but when I first found your channel, I was fresh out of Christianity, hell, fresh out of a Midwestern conservative Bible college, where I had always been the token left, but not too far left guy. So your brand of left, but not too far left discourse in videos like For the Bible Tell Me So helped me tremendously in reshaping my political views outside of a biblically centered pigeonhole. Keep fighting the good fight, Hugo and Jake. Thank you, Nathaniel.
That was our palate cleanser.
For which you deserve respect. Yeah, it's a little bit of a palate cleanser, but also we're gonna pick on the hate a lot.
Yeah.
But I'd say, well, I mean, just by the likes-dislikes ratio, overwhelmingly there's support for this.
By about 3/4.
It's a lot. It's less than usual, but it's because we put Jordan Peterson's name in the title.
Yeah.
Our views went up significantly for a day.
I don't care.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is it's not typical traffic, meaning they're from outside sources. Mostly.
Maybe.
Some people are like, I'm not subscribed. Okay, that's fine. Do you. It's weird to me that you'd watch a whole series about how we go against people's deeply held beliefs. And then when we get to a very recent one you hold, you're like, no! Like your eyes pop out. And you do that thing that Arnold Schwarzenegger did when he was actually on Mars in real life. Oof, bad news. So, yeah, thank you for the support. But you don't have to SRDs like this a little bit. Although this was more of a, take us out to dinner, pay for it, tell us nice things, back massage with oils, then a D-suck. Because this was very respectful. This wasn't just like ooh, I love you guys. So, also, the left but not too far left, that's interesting and actually I think correct of us.
You're more right than I am, I know that.
Am I really?
Yeah, if you knew my opinions, I'm very left.
I mean, I the fact that I'm right of anyone is surprising. Because I'm very, very liberal, so you're just a little less JW over here. He's not, but he is. Wink. There's something to be said about the names that the Jordan Peterson fans have.
Yeah.
Like, what was that guy? Mr. Mega Pussy Player.
Yeah.
Of course, Justice Robbie. But then Sparking Pony, so you kind of get your idea there. Throbulator says, you guys should really stick to ripping on religious material. That's why we chose Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for a Better Life. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, 12 Rules for Life.
For life.
He's religious.
He's a very religious man.
He uses,
Yeah.
in the book, if you've read it, you know he uses the framework of mythology.
You maybe haven't read it. You maybe haven't watched a lot of his talks. A lot of people accuse us of not watching a lot of Jordan Peterson shit. I literally spent 4 hours last night watching more Jordan Peterson stuff. Yeah, you should watch the Dillahunty debate he had.
We'll definitely tackle that at some point.
I think we ought to. Matt does an amazing job in that, and I know this because he even said so as much when he does a atheist reviews when he debates his own or reviews his own debates.
Yeah.
He is actually very happy about how this debate went, and I mean, if you don't respect us as intellectuals, I get it. Lots of dick jokes over here, but we line up. Before I even saw Matt Dillahunty's thing, because it was patron only, I think, for a while, and then they ended up putting it up because it got leaked. I line up with him exactly. So if you respect Matt Dillahunty, you don't have to respect me. It's just that I agree with him.
Yeah.
So
also, if you're not already subscribed to Matt Dillahunty's
oh, come on.
YouTube channel.
Matt Dillahunty's great. He's much more intelligent than us.
Yes.
And much more measured, and he's got better hair. Get it? Because he's a baldy. Love you, Matt. I'm gonna be there someday. This is. There's no way this holds on forever. But I feel like I got into my 40s, maybe mid 30s. We'll see how this goes because I've had
36.
36. Okay, all right. But yeah, he's religious. We're gonna go back to back with this one because it deserves it. So first, let me preface this by a short discussion about. We use the term, you're going to cringe, toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't talk to you about this, but I use this term specifically because I knew it would make them angry.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay, so, but I wanted to use it in the correct way because I wanted to see whether or not, and I was proven correctly, you would just lose your minds at the sound of it instead of listening to the words that followed it, and you did, and it was very, very good. So here's a little this, and then we'll talk about this. Lord Pax, do you know why men cry? Men don't cry because their emotions hurt. 'Cause you step on their feel-goods. Man cry because their fellow man has died, you fucks. Now, troll or not, I don't think this is a troll based on how much they commented and what the content of that. But even so, if this is a troll, this is like a distilled version of the response to us using that term.
Yeah.
Again, I think you should listen to the video. I think you should watch the video one more time. You can turn on ad block and everything. It's not for the view. It's for you. We specifically mention that it's misused constantly, and I agree with you that it's misused constantly. What the term is used for that you are shrieking about, and possibly rightly so, is it implies an original sin type of factor to males.
Sure.
Those who identify as males specifically, mostly straight, cisgendered, and I know, again, you probably shrieked. All that means is that, we line up. We're not trans, basically. We line up with what you expect societally. So I understand why maybe like the concept like pisses you off, but hear me out. You just what toxic masculinity is. So I won't, if it makes you very upset, I may not use that term again. It was my social experiment. Social pressures informed by gender.
Sure.
That's what it is. And we'll talk about the other side of that in a little bit. But social pressures informed by gender is real.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to do necessarily with, the patriarchy or misogyny. Or it literally is just like other men can do it to other men where we're like, hey, this specifically, this guy's like, men don't cry. Are you telling me that you have never cried, Lord Pax, in any situation other than male death. Is that really true? You've never once cried, like someone hurt your feelings, or you had a breakup, or maybe just something like spoke to you emotionally, like a film or music, or maybe you weep after sex because you're so grateful someone let you stick your dick in them. Like,
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 made me cry.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 almost made me cry, but I'm a cold, heartless cunt.
Big Fish made me cry.
Big Fish has lots of daddy issues, and I feel like
So do I.
I feel like if I was having a real bad day with that,
Yeah.
I feel like Big Fish would get me.
Yeah.
Big Fish is a very good film for those with daddy issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, stuff like that. Like, crying isn't a bad thing.
No.
Now, I mentioned this in the video. You probably didn't listen. We were talking about specifically soldiers in that case because I used the example of hearing an actual soldier talk about his experience. By the way, the pinned comment on that video is a soldier talking about his experience. A lot of people said we called toxic masculinity the reason for suicide and PTSD.
No.
Well,
that can be a factor in people not...
It can be. It doesn't even have to be.
No, it can be a factor in people not seeking out help for those conditions.
Right. Like, and not even always. It can be.
Right.
It maybe not even mostly. I don't know. There's no way to really prove that one way or the other. I'm just saying, based on, I think we can use a lot of anecdotal evidence to create evidence because basically it's just surveys. You know what I'm saying?
I don't like anecdotal evidence.
I don't like it either. But if you poll men, and this is how you get to this kind of thing, societal pressures include, and men's rights activists are right when they include this stuff. I'd say real ones, not Reddit troll MRAs, but people that actually want rights for men to be, tipping towards equality with both genders. And I know, but men are expected to be breadwinners. We use that example. The social pressure of owning a home and making a lot of money and climbing up the social ladder, and not just that, but like liking sports, swearing with your friends. There's lots of having a deep voice. Like, that's something you can't control. Having facial hair right now.
I know growing up, because I speak I speak fairly softly. I'm not and especially when I was younger, it was even more so. I got called feminine a lot because of that, and I got teased a lot because of the way I speak. My voice is a lot deeper now, and I put on more of a deep voice when I'm talking to the camera.
It's only because you have to project with your diaphragm.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of talk like this most of the time, but like we can both get high pitched.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just stuff like that, and that it's not to say that will cause depression or anything. It's just that it is a societal factor that someone who identifies openly as a male and grows up as such will probably experience. Not even definitely will, because I'm sure in different cultures, like, and I mentioned this on Twitter, like a Japanese man experiences a much different forms of societal pressures based on their gender expression than someone from India or someone from Canada or someone from Nigeria. They're all different. So it doesn't mean one thing. It doesn't mean that being a dude is bad.
Right.
Or whatever you think it means.
Yeah. It's gendered social pressure, and in that particular case it's on men. There's also things on women.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because I picked a question. Next, Lord Pax is up again. Lord Pax, I would like some sources for all your quotes, please. Okay, in this video, I'm going to put all the sources for all the things. So you're going to have the book. You're going to have the New York Times thing that we used. You're going to have... I put the video in the last one, so you can go there. Do we need any other... The Bill C-16. We'll have something on the Snopes, maybe, so you can kind of do your own thing. The New York Times... or the
New York Times
the
article.
New York... Not the New York Times article. The New York law thing, where he was like, you can be up to $250,000. The writing in there is under extreme circumstances, and it's for repeated harassment. Again, it literally just adds it to the... Again, it's the same thing as the Ontario Human Rights Commission, where it adds it to a list of things you already couldn't do. It just adds this.
The thing about Jordan Peterson, in regard to this law also, since it passed quite a while ago. If it was as severe as Jordan Peterson said, do you think Jordan Peterson would not have been arrested?
That's what he still has his job too. Like,
And he's doing better than he ever has.
Right, it's-
He's taking advantage of
like
you.
the fact that he isn't martyred right now should speak to how ineffective, or I mean, not ineffective, but just like like benign that actually was. Because by the way, there's been up to today, right now, as of this recording, not a single arrest or conviction based on C16. I don't know how else to. It's 44 weeks in. So, I'm just saying. Also, as far as the sources and quotes, again, just to re-reference, I put that shit on the screen. Just look at it. Like, every time he read from something, it was up on the screen. And if it wasn't, it was the video that we were playing. David J. Thompson. So, if there's toxic males, a term we didn't use, are there toxic females, also a term we didn't use? Just wondering. So, I'm going to take this as, because we didn't say that, because, again, I think he misinterprets what we mean by that. And I get it. Like, it's been used wrong, so, okay. You get a little pass for that. Yes, there's toxic femininity.
TERFs.
And TERFs are a really good example. And no, it's not just misogyny. It's not just men doing it. It's females doing it to each other, too. Like, there's some overlap, probably. But it doesn't necessarily mean that. And, there's overlap with the men as well, where it could be... what's the word? It's not misogyny. It's the other one.
Misandry?
Misandry. Thank you. Like, some of that probably is that, but it doesn't always have to overlap. Examples of toxic femininity, or as we like to call it now, social pressure based on gender expression.
Dumbing yourself down. I know that's a thing
Yes.
I've heard women say they've
Yes.
done. Dumbing yourself down to try and be more appealing to a man.
There's a thing that women experience where they get asked if they're sick a lot if they're not wearing makeup. You know what I mean? Because it's in the Western countries, at least. And again, I don't know how this is all over the world. Again, they would experience different things based on different cultures. But in our culture, in American culture, probably Canadian, actually definitely Canadian, it's like a societal expectation that women wear makeup when they're out to do stuff. Right? At home, it's not a big deal. But a lot of women, it's kind of like, oh, she's not wearing makeup. You know what I mean? And that, well, I don't always think that way. I'm saying it definitely is experienced.
Yeah.
I mean, my girlfriend can attest to this kind of shit. How your hair is, you got to make sure it's a lot of it has to do with appearance. But even so, expecting to at some point in your life be pregnant and have a child.
Yeah. Expectant
to get married. Expectant to find a good man. Although hopefully that's changing a little bit.
Yeah.
Expectant to, and this couples in, not to make as much money. Because it can emasculate some male counterparts.
I know
Or
my ex-girlfriend, when she was making more money than me, which was a very brief window, but that was the thing that happened at one point. Her mom laughed when she found out. She was like, ha ha ha, she makes more money than you.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
And that was a thing. I would consider that misandry a little bit. I mean, there's all over the place. Like, oh fuck, man. I mean, there's just athletic women are sometimes assumed to be lesbians, and as a pejorative, not as just like an observation. There's lots of this kind of stuff. So yes, it exists. It's not like I think David J. Thompson here was like, gotcha, but like no, I mean like. Everyone has this kind of thing, and it's not a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but it's not a big deal to acknowledge it. Like, that's okay. I don't think... Is it even far left to acknowledge... I feel like it's just obvious to acknowledge that we all have societal expectations, and that some of those are, like, kind of not correct.
I think some people
conflate
acknowledgement of a reality with acceptance and approval of that reality.
That might be it,
make sense?
yeah.
Just admitting that something is the case is somehow a tacit approval, and it's not. You have to accept reality before you can do anything about it and make change in the world. You have to admit it. You don't have to say you like it, but these are facts we're all dealing with in the world. Gender-based social norms are a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes some people uncomfortable, so we're trying to be, as a society, more open and less stringent with our societal expectations for people based on their genitalia. Not a big deal.
Or not just genitalia, expression of gender.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, which is different. Kyle Rosetta Stoned, probably. It's probably Kyle Rosetta Stone. That's my fault. I love Jordan, but I love you guys too. Unsub from both is the only way. Yeah. So that's the end of those questions.
All right.
Yeah, I want Jordan Peterson fans to just calm the fuck down. Like we haven't melted down your golden cow yet. That comes at the end of the book. So right now you can still dance around it, and then we'll be like Moses and we'll come down and smash it. Which is a funny metaphor for this channel.
Yeah. So next Wednesday we'll be back to doing the Bible study, but then next Friday I think we're going to be starting with our first chapter of the book, the introduction, or overture, as Jordan Peterson likes to put it.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll do a movie or something the Friday. Maybe we'll take a week off or so. And then we'll dive in again on chapter 1.
Okay.
Yeah, that way you guys don't get fatigued, we don't get fatigued. It'll come out nice and easy.
Yeah.
And by the way, I kind of like responding to these types of comments and stuff because I like that you ask them. I don't like that you get emotional about it. Men aren't supposed to be emotional, by the way. But like, I don't know. It's weird to me that that fans of our show or any atheist, for that matter, especially an apostate, would be upset when someone questions and goes against a person you approve of. I think maybe reconsider your stance on that sort of thing, because I think you're slipping back into religious habits. It feels like it. It really does. And especially because a lot of the stuff he does, and conservative or not, I disagree with conservatism as a philosophy, but if you're conservative, that's okay. But it's religiously informed conservatism. And I know that your nitpick on that is going to be, well, Jordan Peterson isn't like explicitly fundamentalist, and I don't think he is a fundamentalist. But he's religious, and he believes in a God. Like, for instance, he has a hard time explaining if God exists without consciousness. Like, if void of all consciousness. And I find that interesting at first. A fundamentalist, like Ray Comfort, would say, of course God exists if all conscious beings died. If all conscious beings were wiped off the planet, of course God would exist, he's eternal and whatever. Yeah. Jordan Peterson can't say yes, God would exist without, because then he's basically like, oh, I'm a believer.
Here's the thing, though. In his book, he has this focus on this concept of being with a capital B, and I genuinely don't believe he believes in objective reality. He believes reality is defined by your experience, and that is paramount, and that is a dangerous ideology.
Yeah.
I think not even attempting to seek out the closest analog to objective reality you can is dangerous. This dude is just throwing it out the window and saying, our shared myths and beliefs and Carl Jungian fucking the collective unconscious
metaphysical
nonsense.
Substrate.
Yeah, he uses nonsense words a lot.
He'll talk about this a lot. Like, he talked about the right and left hemisphere. The left hemisphere being the linguistic part of the brain, the right hemisphere basically filling in the gaps of that linguistic with the art and stuff. And then underneath of that is all the extra shit, the art and the poetry and you would lose that if you lost God. I don't know how he gets to that point. I've watched that debate 4 times now, and I'm desperately trying to understand that. But when Matt Dillahunty explains what he means, it very quickly evaporates. So and he kind of like falls back a little bit. So yeah, you're going to see. I don't know. We're not gonna always get into the politics, the political weeds with Jordan Peterson. We just like that video as a sort of overview of why he got famous. Yeah. So if you expect more of that, you're probably not going to get it. This is going to. I mean, it's going to be a religious book takedown. That's what it is, because he's religious, and that's just fine. So, and a lot of people are like, "Hey, he's right about some stuff. He's right about, like,
you can be right about things for wrong reasons.
Free speech is important. I agree, but like, I don't think he's defending it correctly." So, anyway,
if the best person you can find as a proponent of free speech is Jordan Peterson, free speech is in trouble. That's all I have to say about it. So anyway, you can always follow us on Twitter at PapaBirdJake.
You follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded. You can also subscribe to the channel and make sure you get the stuff. But don't worry, it won't be in chronological order.
You can also subscribe over at Unpopular Culture. Over there, we talk about movies and TV shows and other stuff.
Indeed.
And you can always support us on Patreon. That's pretty cool if you
Yeah.
want to keep doing stuff like this.
If you want to yell at us more personally, discord.me/Hugo and Jake. There's plenty of people that want to have this debate with you if, in fact, you are a Jordan Peterson fan. Super weird.
Make sure you go to the Politics and Debate channel, so that's where all the debates go.
Yeah, you can't just do that in general, you asshole. Read the rules. Also, patrons. I've had people say that like the link to the Patreon, it should give you automatic, not only access to the Patreon Discord, but just the Discord in general. I'm hearing it's not working. I'm gonna look at that today. Don't worry about it. Something's going on there. I don't know. Weird.
All right. So thanks everyone. Until next time. I'm Hugo now.
Hugo?
Hugo.
Hugo. Okay. I'm still Jake. Okay.
This has been Hugo and Jake. Oh fuck! I misgendered myself.
Fuck.
Am I gonna get arrested?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Oh.
Jordan Peterson told me so. You will be arrested now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Canadian prison's probably fun. Just poutine, and later this year they get legal pot, right?
I feel like there's laser tag.
I want laser tag.
I want laser tag. I want a high laser tag. I'm gonna play laser tag high. That sounds great.
Let's go play high laser tag.
Let's do it.
Fuck yeah. Fuck this shit.